want you to imagine this. Imagine that there's two different versions of you. The first version goes about his day completely unnoticed. Nobody goes out of their day to say hi to him. Nobody goes out of their way to talk to him. Girls don't even give him the time of day. He's basically an NPC. He's a background, non-playable character. And because of this, he's very unmotivated in life. He thinks to himself thoughts like, what's the point then? Why even try? So he sleeps in, he's late to work, he does just enough to get by, he doesn't even work out. He plays video games, he watches hours and hours of Netflix every single night because society tells him you need a healthy balance of work and playtime. And so as a result, he completely settles for mediocrity. Now, the other version of you wakes up an hour before sunrise. He's fit, focused, has fire in the belly. People revere him. When he walks into a coffee shop, the employees celebrate him. Oh, hey, good to see ya. Welcome back in. When he walks down the street, he sees women look up from their phones. He can see them whispering to their friends about him. Oh, look, there he is, the influencer. Oh, there he is. Look how cute he is. When he goes to the gym, everybody knows him by first name. He's giving out high fives and fist bumps. All the younger guys are asking him, hey, can I get in a workout with you? Life's good. Life is good. And wherever he goes, he's appreciated. People acknowledge him and see him for the high value man that he is. Now, hey, look, even if you're a guy like me and you don't care so much about all the acknowledgement, hey, you got to agree that that's still a pretty cool lifestyle. And having all that respect and having people revere you, it's got to feel good, right? Now, growing up, I was more like the first version that we were just talking about. I was skinny, short, I was like the runt of the litter. I was constantly bullied. Girls would even pick on me and mess with me. They would call me names and I would just feel so bad about myself. I had zero respect, zero status, and eventually this bled into my young adult years as well. Around 18, 19, 20 years old, I was lost, confused. I was waking up late around 1, 2 p.m. every single day. My diet was complete doo-doo. And I remember at that time, all I wanted was for people to respect me, to see me as a man. I wanted to know what it felt like to walk into a room and just feel powerful. But it was just kind of funny because I wanted all the luxuries and all the rewards of, being a man, but I didn't actually want to do what the man does. And so once I finally discovered self-improvement, I spent the next handful of years, the next decade improving myself, building myself, and eventually I immersed myself into this kind of motivation loop where the harder I worked, the more enthusiasm it gave me to keep working hard. And over time, I've now been able to build a presence not just here on YouTube, but in real life that's allowed me to gain the respect of others. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't something that I seek anymore. I don't seek the acknowledgement. In fact, I'm actually quite a shy person, to be honest with you. I'm very introverted. I'm not a big fan of attention, but the attention and the respect, it's just a result of putting in the work, of building yourself, of living with purpose. Honestly, it's hard not to have one without the other. When you do what you need to do as a man, day in and day out, that's just a natural result. People start hearing about you, they start talking about you, they notice you, and therefore you naturally build in status. Kind of like whether you like it or not. I heard this message from a pastor named Jensen Franklin the other day, and he talked about how God, he isn't good at keeping secrets. And he just meant that like in a joking way of how when you do what you need to do as a man, day in and day out, when you're living with purpose, when you're living for God, and you're doing it in a pure way, a righteous way, a way where you're not just giving all yourself all the glory, but you're giving God the glory through it. God sees that and he acknowledges that, and therefore he exposes you. He puts you on that pedestal for everyone to see. And he might not do it in a way where it's like, okay, now you're just world renowned, but he can allow the people in your community to see your work, to see your efforts. He did this time and time again with different men in the Bible. The dudes that were living for God, living with purpose, and that kept a focused mind. A lot of the times these men became kings. They had kingdoms. People revered them. People respected them. Now, I don't mean this like in a cocky way whatsoever. I mean, all the attention, all the views, all the subscribers, all the stuff I get here on YouTube, it's a nice thing, it's cool, but this was never something that I sought out. In the beginning, my mom was forcing me to do these videos, and eventually when I kind of got the hang of it, I was like, oh, this is cool, I can help out kids my own age. And so that kind of became the motivating factor, and then I just started creating weekly videos, just trying to do whatever I could to help out, younger men my age. And all the while, I was, of course, if you guys have been around this for the last decade, I was giving God all the glory, all the credit through it. And then I feel like as a result, God graciously continued to allow my platform to grow. And I believe it was because I was doing it with a pure heart. So today I'm going to be discussing 5 things that give a man a masculine presence. Now, before I jump into this, if you haven't achieved all these things yet, no worries. I mean, hey, look, just to be real with you, even myself, I haven't even accomplished all 5 of these things yet. I'm a lot farther from where I started, but I still got a long journey ahead of me, right? And that's the thing right there. We're all on our own journey. We're all on our own path. path. It's not necessarily where you're at, but it's where you're headed. Number 1, seek freedom. A high value man, he has his freedom. At the end of the day, you can't be your most highest version of yourself unless you have freedom. Now check this out. I'm gonna put a little twist on things here. Most people are gonna watch this video right now and think, oh, yeah, Dre's talking about financial freedom, of course. Not necessarily. See, most people are always looking at freedom one-dimensionally. I'm talking about all aspects here. Not just financial freedom, spiritual freedom. Having freedom from addictions, doubt, what people think of you. They all kind of tie in together here. You can't have financial freedom if you're completely just addicted to prawn, if you're addicted to alcohol, gambling, if you're addicted to what people think about you all the time, or if you're constantly comparing yourself to other people. I mean, think to yourself, what high value man compares himself to other people? And I mean that like in a negative way. We always talk about how, don't compare yourself. It's okay to compare yourself if it's in a positive aspect, like that's someone that you're striving to be like, that's someone that you look up to and you're comparing yourself and be like, okay, obviously I need to do this and that to get where he's at. But what I'm talking about here is most people compare themselves in a negative way. And that right there, that can also become an addiction. Comparing yourself and just thinking, oh, I'll never be like him. Oh, I'll never have what he has. I just can't talk like him. I can't speak like him. I'm not as motivated as him. And so even things like that, you gotta break free of those chains. If you wanna be effective, you gotta find freedom in all these areas. This is why self-improvement and having good mental health, this is why it's so vital. This is why this is like the foundation to everything else you do in life. Before trying to go out and actually make something of yourself, actually become successful in business, actually try to be a good husband or whatever it is that you want to do, you got to lay that groundwork, my brother. You got to get things right up here. Free yourself from those addictions. Free yourself from trying to impress others. I can tell you that right now from self-experience. The more that I've tried to impress others, it's always led me off my path. But the second I just stopped caring what people think and I just only cared about what God thought, I was now able to have a clear vision, clear direction for my life and where God wanted to take me. So once you do that, once you get that spiritual freedom, okay, now we can start focusing on financial freedom. And you can go about this in 3 different ways. You can either raise your income, make more money. You can lower your expenses, live under your means, or you can do both. And that's something I've really focused on within this last year, is just getting rid of all the excess fat, getting rid of all the stuff that I don't need. Stop spending money on just all these clothes all the time, all this jewelry all the time. I used to spend hours, bro, on that app called Grailed, if you guys have seen it. In recent years, I was really into vintage stuff, so I would be on Grailed for hours bargaining with different sellers, trying to get, this special exclusive item. And it's like stuff I don't even wear. I haven't even worn in like 2 years. It's all just sitting in my closet collecting dust. And I can't tell you how much money I've spent into these things over the years. So for me, I was kind of like out of balance. I was more of a consumer and less of a producer. And now I've kind of tried to reverse things. Now I've become more of a producer, less of a consumer, so that way I can make more money, but also live way below my means. And it's kind of funny now because like people around town ask me like, Dre, like you make all this money, like why do you only have one car? Right? Because I only have one car. And it's like, because I don't need another car, bro. Like I just, to just impress people? Like I don't need it. All I have is my little Jeep and I'm cool, bro. And for years before I had this Jeep, I had just a Honda Civic, and people would say the same thing, like, Dre, like you're a YouTuber, why are you driving around a Honda Civic, bro? And I was just like, just because, bro, it gets me from point A to point B. And by doing that for like those few years, by not caring about trying to impress anybody, I was able to save a lot of money that way because that car was paid off. I had no car bills or anything like that. And see, that's a problem right there, is when you care about what people think, you'll start buying things just to impress people that you don't even care about. I'll go drive by like these apartments that are just a few minutes away from my house, and you'll see people like living in these, like, I don't mean to be mean, but like these scummy areas, yet they got like a Escalade parked right outside of their apartment. They're probably barely scraping by, just trying to make ends meet, and then they got this huge car bill because they're trying to pay for this car that's just way out of their price range just to impress a bunch of random people that don't even care. So hey, again, seek freedom in all areas of your life, not just financially, spiritually as well. Build up this, and then go out and build up yourself a lifestyle, an empire, something that generates you money so that way you can have time freedom. Number 2, build a masculine frame. Physical presence is a big one. We can't avoid this. We can't be naive to this. There's something about just being in the presence of a man who just looks like he can squash you like a bug, who looks like he can grab you by your little pencil neck and twist your head off like a chicken. See, the world is always about body positivity, right? Even if you're like 100 pounds overweight, hey, love yourself anyways, which I get, I understand, but you also need to love yourself enough to know when you need to make a shift, know when you need to transform, know when you need to lose weight, so that way you can have an overall better, healthier lifestyle. I know they always promote like this no body shaming type of thing, but I think that's actually more shameful to the body, is when you actually just keep damaging it and destroying it, and then just kind of being naive about it and just being like, well, it's because I love myself, and therefore I love myself so much that I don't need to change, I don't need to live healthier. No, bro, love yourself so much that you expect more from yourself. It's kind of funny because recently I've been having a lot of dudes come up on here on these videos and be like, Dre, you're getting so skinny, bro, like you need to put on some size. And it's true, because these last like 8 months of me trying to really work on my business and get it to that next level, which I have, but by doing that, by spending 12, 13, 14, 15 hours a day working on my business, I've kind of neglected fitness, and therefore I've gotten really thin. I've gotten scary skinny. And so by getting those few comments about, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I made sure I headed straight to the gym, bro, and ever since then I've been working on just pumping iron, bro, and putting on size. I probably put on about a good 3 or 4 pounds, and I'm well on my way to start putting on some size again, right? That fire's in my belly again, and that's simply because I had some dudes call me out on my crap and keep me accountable. So hey, look, to sum this up, you can't help but respect a man who looks physically intimidating. If you look at dudes like Michael B. Jordan and Creed, from where he started off 10, 15 years ago to where he is now today, I mean, me personally, I haven't heard one guy, one person for all that matter, talk down on Michael B. Jordan. The dude's like on the top of the world right now. Everybody has so much love and respect for this dude because they see his work, they see his hustle, and even more importantly than that, they see his powerful presence up on that screen. They've seen where he was to where he is at now. But remember, you got to keep this in mind too, for all you guys who are starting off real skinny or maybe really overweight. This has taken Michael B. years, over a decade, to get where he's at now. Everybody just kind of always sees that end result, but nah, bro, you got to put in that work. And for a man to become your most masculine self, to become your most powerful self, it takes a good 10 to 15 years easy. It's not just a little quick little fix. This is one of the things, like I was saying in the beginning of this video, where this is something I haven't even fully accomplished yet. I'm much farther along than where I started, but even me, bro, like I don't have the most masculine, powerful frame. And so over the next few years, I'm gonna be really honing in on this and making sure that I build myself up and become my most powerful looking self. Number 3, contribution. Now there's no way in hell you can build up a powerful presence without becoming a servant, pretty much. It's like me here on this channel. Day in and day out, I'm constantly exhausting myself, constantly doing whatever I can to bring you content, to bring you knowledge, to bring you wisdom. Like I said, I'll be working 12 to 14 hours a day, investing myself, pouring myself into these videos. And then once I'm done with these videos for the week, so I spend the rest of my week working on even more videos for the program. But at the end of the day, that's what makes me, I hate using that term, but that's what all the young guys are saying these days, like king. For me, Christ is king, but you guys know what I'm talking about, like king in the whole like manosphere world, I guess you could say. Kind of puts me on that pedestal a little bit, is the fact that I'm a servant. I spend day in and day out humbly saying, here you go. Here's a new piece of wisdom. Here's a new piece of information that you can use for your life. Here's how you can talk to women. Here's how you can become more successful. It's constant servitude. But the more you do that, the more you try to raise other people up, subsequently, the more your status raises. And people see you as that king, right? In the book, The Millionaire Fastlane, it talks about how to make millions, basically, you need to affect millions. Simple as that. And obviously, in my opinion, it's to do that, but do it with a pure heart. Number 4, God over everything. Oh, Dre, we don't want to hear about that God stuff. We don't want to hear about that religious stuff. Hey, look, my brother, you can gain the world, but lose your soul. Check it out. There is nothing on this planet that will help you become your most masculine, most powerful self than by stepping out of the way and giving over that authority to Christ. And hey, on top of that, hey, say you live your entire life for Christ. You do everything in His name. And just say, oh, none of it was true, right? Even though there's beyond so much evidence that proves that Jesus was who He says He is, but just say, okay, none of it was true. Hey, at least you got to live a beautiful, powerful, impactful life full of purpose. That's a good deal right there. It's funny, bro, because I had a friend about almost 10 years ago, and he was married, and he had been going through some struggles with his wife and with like infidelity or something like that. And so they kind of had taken a break. They broken up for a little while, and so he starts hanging out with me a lot, and I start taking him to church, introducing him to God, introducing him to Christ. And so basically, long story short, I'm taking him for about 3 months, and he's enjoying it, he's loving it, he's getting hyped up. But at the end of those 3 months, he comes to me and he's like, hey Dre, I'm sorry, I can't believe any of it. I just can't, you know. I thought Jesus would solve all my problems, and my marriage just keeps crumbling apart. And he's like, I've been doing all this work for God, and as a result, this is what happens. Everything's even more broken than when it first started, right? So that was kind of what he told me, and I was cool about it. I was like, hey, no worries, bro. Hey, we're still gonna go to church. Hey, we're still gonna show up, so if you want to come along, just let me know, type of thing. And so, hey, over those next 2 years, I'm still being a good brother to him. I'm still sharing my faith with him, and it's just kind of funny because, long story short, he ended up meeting another girl who was way more beautiful inside and out. Like, his ex didn't even hold a flame to this chick. Looks wise, spiritually wise, she was just beaming with beauty, right? And then he became just this big old super happy dude all over again. He was like a little kid in a candy store with this chick, and I'm looking at him like, okay bro, well, did you ever kind of think like maybe that's why God didn't allow things to work out with your crazy ex, because God had something a lot more better for you? And I feel like that's what happens with a lot of guys that don't get their way when they're following God, right? They basically like tell God the rules, like, hey, if you don't do what I say, then I'm leaving you. But they don't realize that God, he's like any other good parent. Sometimes that parent is gonna withhold things from you, and sometimes they're gonna tell you no because they have something better in store for you. They know that whatever thing that you currently want in that season of your life, they know whether it's good or bad for you. And so just like when a parent says no, you know, no more candy for the rest of the night, God might be telling you that, saying, hey, not right now. I need you to go through this first. I need you to go through this little bit of a dark time because I'm trying to teach you something. I'm trying to teach you a lesson. I'm trying to build you up into a better man. And so, hey, check this out, not to go on a whole tangent right now, but when you go through those dark times, keep that faith, my brother. Allow God just to do his work. He's orchestrating something special for you. Don't fight against it. Just stay in his will and allow him to do the necessary work within you, even if it's painful at times. See, most guys, they avoid this. They don't want to go through those struggles. They don't want to go through the hard times, so they just immerse themselves into pleasure. They immerse themselves into women, and they don't allow God to do that work in them because it's just too hard. It's just too painful. And this is 99% of men. They avoid this route. So, hey, no matter what season you're at in your life, whether you're at a high point or a low point, have that faith in God. Know that he's working in you. He's doing something. It says in the word, for I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope in the future. So you gotta hold on to that, my brother. And the fifth and final one, a family. Now, I didn't list this as number one because it's the icing on the cake. Your life and everything in it, that's the cake. You built it, you baked it. God was the master chef overseeing everything. But the icing, bro, the icing is, ooh, it's sweet. And having that woman that adores you, that truly, genuinely loves you, and that's gonna stand by you through thick or thin, that's sweet right there, bro. And then to build a family with her, to build an empire with her, to have some little kids running around, it doesn't get much sweeter than that. And that's not something I have yet. I have the wife part, right? But I don't have the kids part yet. That's the next step. That's why I said, you know, like, I don't have all these things that we're talking about today, but I'm working towards it. And that wife thing though, bro, to have a woman by your side who's genuinely just beautiful, who's beaming with warmth and radiance, having that next to you, bro, wherever you go, that gives you such a powerful presence. It's like, you know, I get comments all the time saying, hey Dre, there's this one I remember the other day, he said, hey, your wife, she gives you a lot of credibility, bro. And I was just laughing because it's true. When you got a good girl standing by you who's faithful to you, people see that and they're like, whoa, this guy must be special then to have a girl like that. And another reason why I put this one as number 5 at the end of the list is because you don't want to put the cart before the horse. Your first mission in life shouldn't be to get the girl. You should work on yourself first, work on baking that cake, right? And then the icing comes after, at the very tail end. Sometimes in life, you know, God can orchestrate things and, you know, he could put the girl in front first and she can help you build that cake along with you. But for the most part, that shouldn't be like your main, you shouldn't rely on that. The girl shouldn't be your crutch. You should stay focused, stay on your path. That's the ingredients that build up the cake. And then the wife and the kids are the ultimate thing that just ties up all the loose ends. You want a powerful masculine presence, bro? I mean, what's more powerful than that? Than having your own family unit. Like, this is the same reason why I don't even consider myself a high value man yet. Like, I'm on my way, like I said, but I don't have the kids aspect yet, right? But I'm very much looking forward to it. That's something that I'm really striving towards. I'm kind of still working on the cake part. I got my wife early on, so even though she's the icing on the cake, but she's still kind of helping me build that cake as well right now. But hey, honestly, my brother, there's nothing more king-like than building up your own empire. Now, hey, look, don't get me wrong, a wife and kids don't validate you as a man, only God validates you, but it does validate your success as a man. It's funny because the other day I was watching this UFC fight, and then the camera went over and it showed Conor McGregor. He was sitting there in the stands, and then while he was like flexing in the camera and stuff, and he actually had he had his shirt open, and his wife was putting her hand in there just rubbing on his chest. And say what you want about Conor McGregor, I know he's kind of like a goofball and stuff, and he talks too much, but it's just kind of cool seeing his wife, how she's been with him through thick and thin through all these years, and on national TV right there, bro, she's just loving up on him, thinking he's the man. And so I was messing with my wife the other day. I was like, hey babe, wherever I go out in public, I need you doing the same thing. I need you to be taking your hand and rubbing on my chest. And then she's like, how about you start rubbing on my chest? I was like, oh shoot. So hey, look my brother, let's make family cool again. There's nothing more high status than that, in my opinion. The world tries to deceive you and tells you that hookup culture is the way, that divorce is healthy, and all this nonsense, and that oh you don't want marriage because marriage is slavery. Nah, check it out, bro. Marriage is liberty, living for a higher standard, living in a way that honors God and honors family. There's nothing more powerful than that. So hey, appreciate you, bro. Thanks for watching. Please give this video a nice big thumbs up, hit the notifications button to be informed when I drop a new video, and check out this one right here. It's powerful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace always.